So lesson 1.4, solving absolute value equations. Okay, so there's a few common core concepts that we have to understand. One of them is you're going to let A and B be the real numbers, and then all the following properties will be true. So one of them is absolute value of A has to be set equal either greater or equal to 0. So it cannot ever be set into negative. If it's set to negative, you'll have no solution. Absolute value of negative A is the same thing or is equal to absolute value of A. So if you have absolute value of negative 8, that equals absolute value of 8. If you have absolute value of A times B, you can rewrite them as absolute value of A times absolute value of B. Same with the fraction. Absolute value of A divided by B is the same thing as absolute value of A divided by the absolute value of B, where obviously B cannot be 0 because that will be 0. So, to solve absolute value equation, we have to make sure that the C is greater than or equal to 0. And if it is, then we're going to set it equals to positive C and to negative C. Just kind of how we did with that exploration. We moved to the 3 units to the right and 3 units to the left. That's why it's positive and negative C. So, let's see how this works. Alright, so here is our absolute value. We have x minus 4 equals 6. 6 is greater or equal to 0, right? So, we can actually solve it. So, we're going to set it into positive and negative C. So, we have x minus 4 equals positive 6, or x minus 4 equals negative 6. So now we are going to shift it 6 units from positive 4, right, to the right, and 6 to the left. So let's solve for x. So plus 4, x equals 10, and plus 4 for this equation, x equals negative 2. Now, it did say graph the solution, so let's see if we did it right. So, my solution. Remember, it's always opposite of whatever you see. And if you're not sure what you see, you can say, oh, it's just x minus 4 equals 0. So if I add 4 to both sides, x equals 4. So you start with x equals 4. Okay? And I am going to go by 2. So 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Now this directions, so we have 2, 0, negative 2, negative 4. We are supposed to move, right, to 10 and to negative 4. Let's see how many units we moved. So it goes by 2 from 4, right? So it goes 2, 4, 6. So I did go 6 units to the right from my 4. And then 6 units, 2, 4, 6. So 6 units to the left from my 4. So you know you're correct. You are correct. You could have actually graphed your graph without even doing the problem. Okay, how about B? So we have absolute value 3x plus 1 equals negative 5. So remember, question number 1. Is our C greater than or equal to 0? No, it's less, right? Because it's negative, right? That's one of the properties. So if it's set to a negative number, you can right away say no solution. No solution. So you can either have 2 solutions so far, or in this case, no solution. No solution. So absolute value can't ever be negative. If it's in the simplest form though, only if it's simplest form. I should say can be set to negative. Really, because that is equal to negative. Okay, so let's do a couple of things. Let's do a little practice on the next page. And I'll do this with you guys. So here we have x minus 1 equals 4. Solve the equation and then graph it. Solve the equation and then graph it. You could actually graph it before solving. And you will be doing some of the problems like that. So 4 is greater than 0, so we can set it equal to positive 4, or x minus 1 equals negative 4. So keep on trying on your own, and then we'll double check, see what we get. So I have 5 and a negative 3. Make sure you graph it as well. So I will go by 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So our starting point is opposite of what's inside of the absolute value, or you can set this as x minus 1 equals 0, and then you'll know that it is 1. Okay, and you should be moving 4 units to the right and 4 to the left. That's why we set them equal, positive and negative. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Look, you got your 5. That was part of your solution. And then 4 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have your negative 3. You know you did it right. All right, how's number 2 looking? Did you guys try it? What did you guys get? No solution. That was a tricky question. No solution. You cannot have absolute value that is simplified equals negative number. So you will just say right away, no solution. And that is your answer. No solution. All right, let's look at example number 2. Now, do I stop right away and say like, oh yeah, it's negative 4. Is that no solution? No, because it's not in the simplest form. So there's things we can move out of the way and then see what's going to happen. Maybe it will be equal to negative, but we don't know yet. So if absolute value minus 10 equals negative 4. So first thing you want to do is move your 10 to the other side. Opposite, right? Inverse operation. So we have absolute value of 3x plus 9 equals 6. Now that's simplified, and it is set equals number that is greater than 0, greater or equal to 0. So now we can set it equals 3x plus 9 equals 6, or 3x plus 9 equals negative 6. And now we can solve it. So minus 9 on both sides, you end up with 3x equals negative 3 divided by 3, x equals negative 1. And then for the second equation, minus 9, minus 9, so you have 3x equals negative 15, divide by 3, and x equals negative 5. Both solutions. All right. Last problem for today. What do you think about this one? No solution? How come? Because it said equals negative? You think it's no solution? What do you think?
I think there is some solution because first you would add 3
Okay.
and then you would divide by -2 which would make it a positive.
Okay. Well, let's see what's going to happen. All right. So you're saying that we should isolate the variable, what? Right? The absolute value. So let's do that. So let's move 3 to the other side and let's simplify it. Okay. So we have 5x minus 1 equals, and now we have -8, right? But right now we have -2 times absolute value. How can we make it all by itself? We can do what? Divide. Because right now you're multiplying. So yes, we are going to divide. Good thinking, you guys. So that cancels. So what's left is absolute value of 5x minus 1 equals negative divided by negative is positive, and that will give us 4. And now we can solve it. Okay, you guys do it on your own, because now you should be able to set it up. Remember, you move 4 units to the right and 4 to the left in a number line. So I'll do this quietly. And we'll see if we get the same answer. Okay, raise your hand if you had the same answer as I did. Good job, you guys. Okay, do you want to stop here? We're going to do just story problems. Save it for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Save it for tomorrow? All right, so we'll finish tomorrow the rest. So